My fiancée Kay and I got engaged 2 months ago after 3 years of dating. I hadn't given her an engagement ring until about a week ago. I recently found a ring at an antique shop that I thought Kay would love. She had always wanted her engagement ring to be more than just a diamond. It has a sapphire ringed with smaller diamonds. And this ring fit her personality and wishes perfectly. I organized an engagement party for last weekend with our friends and her parents while they were in town. Her parents live out of state. I told her about the party and that there would be a surprise, the ring, during it. We were really excited to celebrate with everyone. As I was about to give a toast and present her with the ring, Kay's father, A, interrupted. He said that as everyone knew, I hadn't given her an engagement ring, and that he would like to give her a traditional family ring in lieu of my giving her one. She liked it enough. I didn't want to say anything in front of everybody, so I was a bit more subdued for the rest of the party than I might have been. No one seemed to notice, except Kay, who asked me about it after the party. I showed her the ring I had picked out, and she was overjoyed. When I asked about the family ring, she said she'd wear it on her other hand, but she wanted to wear mine for our engagement. I was a little nervous to tell her parents. They tend to be touchy and overbearing about things like this. A would say he is a blunt person who tells it like it is, but it usually comes off as being incredibly rude. Telling her parents was terrible. Her mother broke down sobbing, saying that she was rejecting family traditions and that she couldn't handle Kay not wearing the family ring. Her father was a bit more direct, calling my ring a cheap trinket. It wasn't. And saying that his ring had been in the family for 3 generations. Kay and her parents argued late into the night after I left. My presence was not helping. My question is, should we return my ring? Kay doesn't really want to, but she wants to keep the peace. She feels as if she's always bending to her parents' wishes. Apparently, wearing the family ring on her other hand is an unacceptable compromise. Should we stand firm or return the ring she loves for the sake of peace? Do not return the ring you got. Don't start your lives together giving in to this straight-up emotional A. If her parents would like their ring back, give it back. They probably will. They sound that petty. Your future father-in-law upstaged you at your own engagement party, publicly insulted you, and made nasty assumptions about both you and his daughter. Better have a backup plan for the toasts at the wedding. You can bet that this piece of work is going to be ready for round 2. Obviously, any course of action should be one you both agree on, with a lot of sensitivity to your fiancé's preference, as she is the one wearing it, and they are a-hole parents. But, if you're asking for advice, my advice is that they are manipulative a-holes and she should wear the ring chosen by the man she's chosen. What a ducking a-hole her father is. Was he trying to embarrass you or something by making a big production out of you not having given a ring to her yet? How dare he without speaking to you regardless? And talk about trying to steal the spotlight and ruining your surprise. Good luck with this dude in the future. This is on your fiancé to deal with, really. She needs to tell them it was wrong of that to even happen, and that she has chosen to wear her actual engagement ring. I would honestly give the other ring back. Haha. I met Rachel in high school. We became best friends within a year because I wrestled and she was the coach's daughter. And by junior year, we were dating. I was pretty damn sure that she was my soulmate because we were head over heels in love. We went to the same college, traveled a lot together, and graduated at the same time. Her parents knew me. Of course, her father knew me from coaching, and my parents knew her. 1 year out of college, Rachel and I moved in together in a small industrial town in the Midwest of the USA. She had a good job there, and I worked from home as a consultant. So our setup seemed perfect. We were married in 2013, and we had our first child in early 2014. Those 2 years were the happiest years of my life up till that point. By far. But then she got pregnant again in December of 2014. She asked me if I wanted to have a second kid at that point, and I was honest when I told her no. We were busy with the first one, and I wanted to realign some of my attention back to my craft as well. She said that she wanted to keep the child, and I asked her if she was willing to sit down and go through the pros and cons of having the kid now, versus waiting a little bit. Rachel said no, not at all, because she loved the kid just as much as she loved our boy, and A was off the table. When we realized that she was not willing to compromise, she asked me if this would affect our relationship. I told her that it definitely would. I wasn't going to force her to get an A, but I felt that having a child needed to be a unanimous decision. And when she usurped complete control of that decision, then I would obviously feel differently about what's between us. That conversation happened January 18th, 2015. That was the last time I ever saw Rachel. The next day, she was gone. I mean, she literally disappeared from our house, leaving me and our son behind. I blew up her phone, then called her parents, then called the cops. There was a big investigation. I had to be questioned, and I had to get a lawyer. The lawyer helped a lot when the newspaper articles started coming out. She was officially a missing person. 2 months after her disappearance, her parents cut contact with me. I felt so much crushing guilt about letting my wife disappear like this. There was a part of me that was convinced that I had gone crazy. I thought maybe I'd kayed Rachel and forgotten about it somehow. I was scared and confused and angry. My parents came over periodically to help with the kids so that I could get some rest. During this time, my father suggested that I need to start seriously thinking about what life looks like moving forward. It took 6 months for me to get used to life without my wife. In July of 2015, I filed for a divorce by publication. I thought it would help me move on with my life. During those 6 months, I struggled with the weird stares that I got, the rumors that spread around the neighborhood, and the feeling of deep and sudden loss. I'll admit that I contemplated taking my son's and my own life so many times. I felt like my son deserved so much better. My father's words anchored me down. Or maybe I was just too much of a chicken to actually end it. In October of 2015, I met Genevieve. She was the head of sales at one of my biggest clients, and she invited me to their company Halloween party. I thought it was ridiculous, but something inside of me told me that I should give it a go. I'd never met her in person before because I've always dealt with her boss, but she said that she had wanted to meet me for a long time. Said that her boss had nothing but good things to say about me. She spent that Halloween party basically sugaring me up, and at the end of the party, she asked if I'd like to grab dinner sometime. I laughed it off and told her that I wasn't looking to date. That was the short answer. The long answer was that I had severe trust issues and my entire neighborhood was 85% sure that I had kayed and buried my last wife. It's March of 2017 now, and I'm married to Genevieve. My son knows Jeannie as his mother. We've since moved to a larger house a few counties away from my old home. My boy has a little stepsister, mine and Jenny's newborn child. It feels like I've lived 2 lives. My first life ended violently when Rachel disappeared. My second life began when I got divorced and moved on. Once every few months, someone asks if I'm the guy from the news stories a few years ago. And I tell them that yeah, it's me. But I promise, I didn't kay my wife. But last weekend, my phone rings, and I see Rachel's name on the caller ID. She tells me that she left because she felt trapped, and she thought that she needed to save her unborn child's life. She thought if she stayed in the house, the child would die. She purchased an online train ticket the night of our last argument, and she traveled immediately to her parents' house. She thought that she needed a day, or a week at max, before she came back to me. But during that week, she decided that an A was the only way out of this predicament. She terminates her pregnancy in January of 2015, and spirals into severe depression immediately after her last doctor visit. She's having these manic violent episodes, and she's convinced that I'm at fault for all of it. Her parents convince her to get admitted to a psychiatric ward. She is diagnosed as a severe risk to her own safety, with manic depression. When the cops had asked her parents for information on Rachel, they did not respond. It turns out that this was because they had all decided that keeping Rachel away from me was the best way to go. The bitter, soul-crushing cherry on top to all of this is that she starts breaking down over the phone. She tells me about how guilty she feels for abandoning me and our son. She tells me how she felt trapped and scared and she made the wrong decision. She blamed her parents for brainwashing her into thinking of me as her A. And she thinks it's finally time for her to leave that despairing period of her life behind and come home to me. I tell her that I moved on, that I'm happily married, and that I never want her to call me again. Guys, I don't want her back. I've talked to my lawyer yesterday, and he said that there's no way she gets custody of my son if I don't agree to it, and I'm not agreeing to crap. I don't want her back, and I don't want her in my son's life. My son's mother is now Genevieve. My wife is Genevieve, and I'm finally ducking happy. This is 95% rant because the only people I can talk to about this are my parents, close friends, and my wife. But I'm not ready to do that yet. I don't know how to phrase it. I don't even know if I'm being a vindictive a-hole by keeping Rachel out of our lives. If you're not ready, please get a therapist to help through her showing back up. I understand that your feelings about all of this run very deep and justifiably so. But I hope you can come to realize at some future point that your son may want to meet his birth mother, and you should have a plan in place to help with that, other than saying no, for his sake. In my opinion, this one's easy. From an outsider's perspective, that is. Don't take her back. Don't let her back into your life. She handled the whole past ordeal very poorly, and she needs to live with that, not you. Good on you for picking up the pieces and being happy. Keep it that way. I, 34 female, have a twin brother, Alex. Alex married his college sweetheart who was amazing, but in 2018, she passed away in a car accident, leaving him a single father to 2 little girls, now 9 and 6. He was understandably having a difficult time, so my husband and I helped him out a lot with the girls. Alex and I are best friends. We live in the same neighborhood, and I have a daughter, 7, who is close to her cousins and attends the same school. So it's pretty easy for me to have a close relationship with my nieces. I work from home, so I take all the girls to and from school every day. And during virus lockdown, we bubbled with them so that my daughter could have some interaction with other kids. At the beginning of the pandemic, my brother had just started seeing this woman, Claire, 33. Because of the situation, she rapidly moved in with him and got pregnant. So now I also have a nephew, 8 months. From my perspective, Claire is a total nightmare. The main reason I can't stand her is because of the way she treats Alex's daughters. She rolls her eyes at everything they say and do, and generally acts like they are a huge inconvenience to her. She doesn't want to be involved in anything they do. For example, with their school or extracurriculars, and will say flat out that she's not their mom. She is also an a-hole to my daughter, doing things like pretending not to remember her name, which is disrespectful because it's not as if she is a distant relative Claire has met once. We are literally her neighbors and went through virus together. So this is either a weird thing she's doing on purpose, or she literally just couldn't be bothered to learn her name, which is not a difficult or culturally unfamiliar name, by the way. Also, my husband is 10 years sober after having struggled pretty severely with alcohol in his teens and early 20s. Claire constantly ridicules his sobriety and says he's boring because he won't have a drink, things like that. Immature, but highly disrespectful. For the past year or so, Claire has been making a huge effort to force my brother to distance himself from our family, especially me, but she also has a problem with our parents and our younger brother. She says that she doesn't want her son to have a relationship with us at all, and is pushing to move him to Texas. We live in California. It's causing my brother a lot of stress that we can't get along with her, so recently he said that maybe he should just go, even though he doesn't want to, because he is worried that she will leave with his son. I want to make things better with her, mostly because I'm worried for the girls if this happens. I think they will grow up with self-esteem issues because she is so neglectful towards them. And I honestly worry about my nephew too, because I have serious questions about her parenting ability. But I also have doubts about my ability to resolve things with her. There are 2 incidents that particularly stick out as being extremely weird. My oldest niece called me crying and asked me to pick her up. She told me that she had told Claire she needs a new backpack because the strap broke on hers, and that Claire refused to take her to get a new one, and had called her a spoiled brat. So I got her a backpack and some ice cream, and when I brought her home, Claire was furious. She said that I'm over-involved in my brother's life, that our relationship is creepy and weird, and that I shouldn't try to compete with her for him because she will win. I got the definite sense that she sees me as a rival, which is almost too gross to even type, but that is the vibe I got from her. My younger brother, Julian, 26, suspects that he caught her doing D while she was pregnant. He saw a plate with white residue and a cut-up straw. She does have a history of recreational D use that she is pretty open about. Julian told Alex about it, and Claire immediately began trying to deflect. She started crying hysterically and saying that the whole family is out to get her, so Julian was lying, and that Julian had yelled at her, and she is afraid of him because he is aggressive and doesn't want to be around him, or want him to meet the baby because she thinks he's violent. She finally admitted that he wasn't lying about the plate and straw, but claimed that it was Tylenol she crushed up and snorted because she needed it to work faster, and that she lied initially because she knew it looked bad and she was scared. Alex decided to give her the benefit of the doubt. I don't know one single person who snorts Tylenol, but okay. What can I do in this situation to maintain a relationship with my family and make sure the kids are okay? Am I crazy? I'm willing to admit I have a closer relationship with them than most aunts and nieces do, but that is because of their mother's death, and I don't know how to scale back now without them feeling abandoned. Especially because Claire won't even get them a new backpack or go to a soccer game. I also will admit I'm closer to my brother than a lot of siblings, but we are twins. And I do feel like on the spectrum of twin relationships, we are actually not that bad. How does your brother feel about all of this? I mean, for him to become a widower with young children at such a young age, I couldn't imagine how difficult that must have been. And now on top of that, he's found himself living with and having a child with someone he doesn't really know, but is learning she's, well, awful. The idea of leaving her, breaking apart a family, may just be too scary for him to think about. This woman is an A. Unfortunately, getting police, child services involved with no evidence at this point could cause more harm than good, as it's something she will use as ammunition to prove that you're over-involved and awful. And yes, she will know it's you. You need to be his safe space, and you need to avoid confrontation with her at all costs. Your brother is going to do what's easy, and this woman is capable of making life very difficult and causing a lot of damage. Your family needs to be unproblematic because she will use anything to push you away. And when that happens, you won't be able to support him or the kids. This will come to a head. You just need to make sure you and your family are around when that happens.